See, now personally, I heard there was going to be a Grand Prix in Miami today, so I thought I would blend in for the occasion. I don't see how any way this could be seen as cringe or obnoxious whatsoever, especially given it's a New England Patriots jersey. Maybe a small divisional rival there, etc. Hey guys, welcome to the WTF1 Wrap powered by MoneyGram. I'm your host, Dre Harrison. Yes, I am wearing sunglasses indoors. Sue me. But here we are. We're going to talk a little bit about the Miami Grand Prix, and we've got a special guest with us. And it's the first return guest that we've had on the WTF1 Wrap because we liked him so much we thought we'd bring him back. I think it was also the very first guest we had on the WTF1 Wrap if I remember correctly. What race were you back for again? I want to say it was the season opener.
I believe it was Saudi. I think it was Saudi. I think it was
so race 2.
Yeah,
we've almost gone full circle, but not quite. But anyway, Jett Kraus is here. Pleasure to have him back on the show. You probably know him from the world of NASCAR content creation a little more than Formula One. But Jett, pleasure to have you back, my friend.
Thank you. I feel honored to be back as the first returning guest. I feel honored, but thank you. It's back. I'm happy to be back on. But I gotta say, as a Miami Dolphins fan, I hate that you're wearing that shirt, but I'll let it slide.
I may or may not have done my digging and found out you're a Dolphins fan. It's one of those things. It just look. My dad was a filthy glory hunter and decided to choose New England. It's just one of those things. It was either that. Right. It was either that or I get booted out of the house. But I know you were probably doing double duty, given NASCAR is going down in Kansas as we speak. They're in the middle of stage 3. I warn you now, chat. We are both going to lose our minds if Bubba Wallace wins this one. Just giving you a warning. I will settle for anyone bar Kyle Larson. But
anyone but Kyle.
Anyone but Kyle. But how did you find the race in general, Jett? I felt this was fine, if that makes sense.
It was better than last year's race. There was a lot more overtaking, I felt like, than last year. I was quite surprising by how well Verstappen was able to keep life on those hard tires. I mean, go from where was he started? 9th place, was up his way up to 2nd. It was, and eventually got past Perez there, but it was fascinating to see how long he was able to not only stay up ahead of Perez, but still logging on in those fastest laps, even when he was on those longer, harder tires. And I know he won driver of the day, but I got to give it to Hamilton. Started 13th, I think finishes in 6th place, put off some banger overtakes.
Oh, yeah.
I was quite surprised by the speed of the Mercedes. They were quite off early on, but during the second half of the race, they started, I think they found something on those harder tires, and I think it was on the harder tires they found something, especially in Hamilton's car. And if he had a safety car, who knows? Things could have maybe gone Mercedes' way. But outside of that, those were really the two things that surprised me, was the speed of Mercedes and the life of the hard tires, how long they were able to keep those up.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot like Baku in from last week, where it was kind of a disparity. I mean, the mediums weren't quite as bad here than they were in Baku last week, where they were last in 8, 9, 10 laps, and then that was it. Like, Alonso went all the way to lap 25 on them. He went forever on that medium stint to start off with. But yeah, I mean, I've already seen many comments that are already going super max because, understandably, having gotten the win in a Red Bull 1-2 finish. But you're absolutely right. I mean, that was incredibly impressive pace from Verstappen all the way through, and like his tires were 20 laps older than Perez during that stint, and he was still setting fastest laps, and Perez just didn't have an answer for him. And Perez has openly admitted after the race, he said that his medium stint was poor, and that's probably what cost him the win. And I'd probably agree with that, Jett, given that we could see, like, he couldn't really get away from Alonso till right at the end of that stint, and as that was going on, Max was just carving through that midfield to get up to P2.
Yeah, it seems as though as the stint was getting longer and longer into that run, Verstappen was just improving, while Perez was almost like stagnant You know, it was just like he wasn't using those medium tires to his advantage. He was just staying there while Verstappen just kept improving. And it wasn't until, like you said, near the end of the race where like he finally found something, found some speed in that Red Bull to be able to preserve that second place finish. But yeah, I mean, like you said, similar to Baku, where it was, the mediums really didn't show up as often as I wanted to, as I thought it would show up here today. But I honestly thought, with how far back Verstappen was and how good Perez, I think the reason why no one told him it was a street race. I think that's why he lost. No one told him it was a street race. That's why he lost. If someone told Perez, "Hey, this is a street circuit," he would have won.
I may or may not have cracked a couple of jokes on Twitter over the last couple of days when Perez qualified on pole that all of a sudden Miami's now a street circuit, and then I confirmed it wasn't after Verstappen won.
Yeah.
Look, as a fully fledged member of the media now, I openly admit we're probably kind of guilty for this, given that looking that we know it's kind of a one-car championship, and knowing that Perez is probably the only hope we've got for a genuine title fight this year, we're going to pin all our hopes on Sergio Perez, and we've had a bunch of street circuits earlier where we know he's stronger at.
Right.
This was probably a firm reminder of the status quo between the two of them, because that was a pretty comprehensive victory from Verstappen in the end over Perez on this one. And hey, shout out to Fernando Alonso as well. Fernando Alonso P3, his fourth third place finish of the year. He's got third, fourth, third again. And I love the fact as well. Want to know a fun fact, Jett? Yeah, because of the sprint in Baku, he scored precisely 15 points at every round so far this season.
How about that?
There you go. Fun facts, everybody. You can't say I'm not delivering on this wrap-up show on this one. Also, I love that you wanted to talk about this a little as well before we just went on the air, Jett. But what did you make of the driver introductions? Because we know Miami. We all know it's an American round. We all know they love a bit of pageantry. We all know they love a bit of spectacle before the show. So what did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously for the more European viewers, it was probably like very uncommon to see this. Obviously, if you're in America, this is like, we're used to this. This happens all the time. In terms of I like that LL Cool J brought, number one, he said the names right.
That helps.
I was very worried when we got to Zhou Guan Yu. I really thought he was going to butcher his name, but he got through everyone pretty good. Better than Michael Buffer, because Buffer, I think he butchered a couple names in Austin.
Oh
yeah.
Kimi Raikkonen. For those who might be newer fans, they tried this before with Michael Buffer at COTA. I want to say, I think it was 2018. I want to say,
I think it was 2018.
Yeah, it was in the peak of the Hamilton Vettel title fight that year, where they had Michael Buffer introduce all the drivers for the national anthem. And he, if anybody knows Michael Buffer, the master of ceremonies pretty much for all of major American sports, most likely boxing if you're a boxing fan. So me being an American sports lover, I was really looking forward to that, and then Buffer butchered it when he actually got there, and it ended up being incredibly cringy. Go on, Jeff.
I think when it comes with these types of driver introductions, when it's right, it is really, really good and adds a whole nother layer of drama, epic anticipation to an event. But when it goes bad, it goes really bad. The way I viewed this is kind of, we said this before we went on air, was that it was right amount of cringe. It wasn't to the point where I just wanted to turn it off.
Right.
But what I didn't like was the stage. At least in Austin, it felt like a grand stage. They were opening up to the fans when the drivers walked out. This one, it was a small little stage that pointed to turn one, I believe, and I think you have Nick DeVries. Nick DeVries. He power walked. He didn't even bother trying to take in a moment. He just power walked away from everything.
It's like, no,
Yuki skipping away.
Get us out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, I was like, oh God. I mean, I was expecting it, so I'm not surprised by it, but I did have a feeling that that moment was going to cause a lot of people to be like, "Oh God, what are we doing here?"
Well, yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's no secret they're trying really hard to break the
yeah.
American market and make a big deal about these American rounds. And hey,
You got to be careful though about
yeah,
that
oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
Americans, I mean, Americans can smell desperation. They can smell when you're trying too hard.
Oh dear.
So,
Maybe it's like with me with the glasses, but yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it. I could see what they were trying to do with it, but I can totally understand how some of us European folk, and I've already seen a couple of the guys in the chat like Coda say intro was so cringe. Brent is
yeah.
cool, hated the intro, no point of it. I get it. It's really not a European thing. It's a very much American thing, which is a shame. But you know, I don't mind being open to other people's cultures. But like I said, America loves a good
Here's
event.
the thing. I gotta say this. If y'all thought that was cringe, just wait until Vegas.
Oh God.
Right? Oh,
Oh God.
Vegas is gonna make Miami look like nothing.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be even worse when November rolls around, 100%. Coda saying, was it Miami or Kota with the football helmets on the podium? It was Miami last year.
Miami, that part also was,
yeah, Dan Marino giving Max Verstappen a signed helmet for winning last year, which is probably worth $6, maybe $7. It's a nice prize on that one. So yeah, that's a little bit about Miami. Let's get into some of the winners and losers team-wise as we go up and down the grid. First on the list, thanks to Benji, the editor, for sending them in, we got Red Bull. Should we get this out of the way quick? Another 1-2 finish, you know? Another good day at the office.
Win-win. I mean, come on. It's just your typical Sunday, you know.
Yeah, you know. I think it's safe to say, given they took every point available, pole, win, fastest lap, 1-2 finish. Yep. They were pretty much perfect the whole way through. Led every single lap between the pair of them. It's very straightforward on this one.
Yeah.
Unless, like, I know that there was a tweet I put out during this race that I said, be honest, you were hoping for contact there, weren't you? When Verstappen put the winning move on Perez.
I was getting flashbacks of Baku 2018.
Exactly.
Verstappen and Ricardo. I was like, part of me felt like, would they actually crash into each other?
Right. I mean, it's like I've seen the replies to that tweet. You were not the only one, Jett. I promise you that. You know, like, not that we wish for drivers to hit each other in races most of the time, but let's be honest here. Given how inevitable Verstappen felt during the course of that race when he came out and he was only about a second or so behind Perez, it felt like it was going to be a matter of when rather than if, and that's exactly how it played out in the end. But an absolutely thorough reminder of the class of Verstappen. And hey, Sergio Perez is second. Red Bull still absolutely dominant. No real argument there. Easy dub, as they could say, literally and figuratively, for Red Bull on that one. Alpine next up on our list this time round. 8th and 9th on the day. Gasly struggled a little bit towards the end of that race, I think, with tyre wear and whatnot, and with the medium runners coming behind him, like Hamilton coming through, and and what not you. But I still think 8th and 9th is probably a dub for Alpine. I think that's a good result, especially given I think how bad Baku was for him.
Yeah, I think it's a respectable finish for them. Gasly did show a little bit of pace early in the race. He was up in the top 5, top 6, I believe.
Yeah, he was running 5th at one point.
Yeah, I thought it was a very respectable finish for Alpine. I don't think anyone was expecting anything big from them. I mean, maybe scoring points, but nothing spectacular. So I thought this was, given how their season has been outside of Baku, I thought this was a pretty respectable finish for them to get both cars in points.
And Gasly in front of Ocon, which is a nice weekend for Gasly. Nice bit of confidence filling for him as well, especially given, and I joked about this during the last race in Baku, that his car was busy declaring a new pope during the previous Friday in terms of reliability and the fire that was coming out of that air hose. So, yeah, I think 8th and 9th, I'd say that's probably a net positive for Alpine on the weekend. I would say that's a dub for them on this one. Good points. They're in a fight with McLaren again in that constructors race, and that's That's 6 well-earned points for Alpine over McLaren 0. We'll get to McLaren shortly. I'll let you in on a little secret. Not good. Not.
I mean, we'll get to McLaren soon, but I'll be honest. I forgot they were racing today. I
think McLaren forgot McLaren were racing today.
I mean, because every team I think at least had something, and then it was like, oh wait, yeah, McLaren's racing today. Yeah. About that.
We can confirm they attended this race. They were certainly there. We can confirm their attendance. We're going to talk about Haas next, and good news for America. Like Chipotle, one of their partner sponsors, said that if Haas would score a point over this weekend, they would give away 10,000 entrees to their customers, and Kevin Magnussen brought it home in 10th. A point for the Haas team. An excellent result for them. And a point which means America got to eat some tacos for free. It was a really solid 10th place for K-Mag, and entertaining fight with Charles Leclerc as well. I did very much enjoy that. It's a bit of a home pick. I'm going to give it my MoneyGram send of the week for that one, because I actually like the fact that Magnussen gave it back to Leclerc a little bit. It wasn't just a conventional DRS pass where Leclerc just comes through on the factory team and came past. We actually got a bit of back and forth between him and K-Mag. So he's been fun this year, and this was a solid result in the end. Shame about Hulkenberg, but K-Mag gets another point for Haas.
Yeah, I mean, with Magnussen, I mean, he started off in qualifying yesterday, extremely strong up front. Obviously got a little bit lucky there with Leclerc at the end, but extremely qualifying result for Magnussen, carried on over into the race. I was expecting for some reason maybe for Magnussen to be up front a bit longer. Like I know he finished 10th, and that's a good result for Haas, but I figured I would see Magnussen, running with the Alpines in that area, maybe around 7th, 8th place, getting a couple more positions there. But I thought it was a very, very good run for Magnussen. Hulkenberg was just, again, he was one of those drivers that he was there.
He was playing blocker a lot in that early stages because he was able to keep Hamilton, and I think it was Leclerc behind him for a little while during that race. And I mean, it's a shame for K-Mag because obviously he started 4th, and you might have been hoping on for a little bit more. But I think if you sat down Gunther and said to him before the weekend started, you get a point, I think he'd take it. I know it's not much, but I think the way this season's going, every point is going to count if you're a lower end team right now, because I think they're going to be coming in at a premium with the big 4 being where they are. There's not going to be a lot of points to play with, so I think this is a dub for Haas.
I've always had a soft spot for Magnussen. He has great raw talent, raw speed. He always has. I just think if you can give him the car and if the strategy just plays in the right hands for him, he can really make the most out of it. We've seen him in moments where he's able to capitalize on other people's mistakes or even create his own luck. So that's why when I saw that he qualified, I believe in 4th place, I think it was 4th place, I just had this feeling, because I know Miami, there is opportunities for overtaking. Even though it's very, very limited, there were opportunities for overtaking. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, Magnussen could have a real good chance, not at a win or podium, but having a really strong finish, getting a lot of points to help Haas in the constructor standing. So, I know that you say that 10th place is a dub for him, and I definitely agree with that. But I think for me, there was potential for more for Magnussen in this race.
You'll always be thinking you could get a little bit more here and there if you think about it. So that you get that. Jamal J in the comment says, and me in the only state that doesn't have a Chipotle. Oh, bad luck, my friend. Bad luck. Indeed. Unlucky about that one. But I would say that's a small dub for Haas. I mean, look, even if it isn't a small dub in your opinion, at least America got to eat happy and free to a degree. So, everybody's a winner. That's how I look at it.
The other American.
We'll get into him in a minute. Next up, Mercedes, and I know the mood was a little despondent after Hamilton got
Yeah.
knocked out in Q2 yesterday, P13, which, seemingly just on pace alone, which is never a good sign. But he was on the winning strategy. They started him on the hard tyre, came through, had great pace on the mediums at the end, got through the mid-pack, finished 6th, George Russell 4th. I think this is a huge dub for Mercedes, given where they were yesterday. I think that's a good result for him.
I mean, I think if you were to ask Mercedes fans the mood after Q2 or after qualifying yesterday,
Oof.
I don't think they were expecting this type of result. I don't know. It's like with Hamilton, it's always like with him, it's, he has that mindset of it doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish. It doesn't matter where he is. It's always like, listen, there's still 50 some odd laps in this race. Not only does he have the skill, if he has the right strategy, on top of that, we know he has the skill capable of coming up front, passing cars, and winning races. We know he has the skill for that.
Absolutely.
You can never count him out. So I was surprised at the beginning by how stagnant he was. I think he had contact at the beginning of the race that affected his right front wing. But I was surprised by how little speed Mercedes had at the beginning.
Definitely.
But in the second half, it's like a light switch. Russell started charging, Hamilton charging. Hamilton made a beautiful overtake. I forgot what turn it was. I forgot what the car was, but he had a beautiful overtake that was right on the edge of the wall before entering the corner. I forgot what it was.
It was on Charles Leclerc on the back straight towards the bridge section, and Leclerc's tried to pinch him on the inside wall, and Hamilton still come through. It was a very nice pass, absolutely. So I totally get that. I mean, we'll get to Ferrari towards the end, but I think this is a big dub for Mercedes in the end. I think given where they were yesterday, I think 4th and 6th is about as much as they could reasonably ask for, given Fernando Alonso was, again, very strong in race trim again on this one. So I think given where they were and given how Hamilton came back through the field, that's a good result for Mercedes. So I think that's a dub for them. McLaren.
McLaren. So they showed up, which they get a participation award for that.
That's a plus that we can confirm. That is certainly something.
They ran all the laps, so that's nice.
Technically not true because Piastri was lapped, so they were 1 lap short. Sorry, Jett. All
right, well.
17th and 19th.
What would you say about them?
There isn't a lot to say. I mean, I feel bad for Norris. He was hit in the back by Nick de Vries on the very first corner. I thought that Nick would have learnt his lesson from when Logan Sargent did it to him in Australia. It's actually gone the other way. Now Nick's the one that's dishing it out. And this time it was Lando Norris, and I don't think his car was, particularly good. Although I don't think McLaren starting their cars on the soft tyre was a good idea at all.
Were they the only ones to start on softs?
I think they were. I don't think anybody else started on the soft. I think there was the majority was on the medium. There was a few hard runners like Ocon and Hamilton and obviously Verstappen.
That's a good sign that you have royally effed up when you're the only ones on softs.
Yeah,
you were bound to get screwed.
Yeah, either you've gotten it very, very right, or you've gotten it very, very wrong. And on this occasion,
it's McLaren, so it's very, very wrong. Let's be honest.
I've seen interviews of Norris already. Like he said, he tried everything he could behind the wheel, just nothing in it for him this time round. Lando Norris was a minute 27 off the win. He was in 17th, Piastri 19th. This is a huge L for McLaren. There's no ifs or buts on this one. This one is an absolute stonewall L, and I think they've actually lost 6th place in the constructors as well, because Alpine picked up 6 points and overtook them. So even their really good Australia round just got cancelled out, which is just really, really unfortunate for McLaren all round. Just not entirely their fault, to be fair. I said Nick de Vries wasn't ideal driving into the back of Norris's car, but just a complete nothing burger of a weekend, Jett?
I mean, it adds on to the pile of a nothing season. I mean, it's. I know I shouldn't be saying this, but part of me doesn't feel bad of how they handled Daniel Ricciardo. So part of me is kind of like, a bit of karma there. But on a real note, it's quite shocking to see the if you look at in terms of this race is kind of like, just like I said, like another nail in the coffin of a roller coaster season for McLaren, or I should say roller coaster few years for McLaren. I mean, we know that, they went from high to low, back to high, winning in Monza, to now it's been a slow decline. And
it's that meme of the how the mood's
Yep.
going. Yeah, it's exactly what it is at the moment. That's exactly what it feels like at McLaren. Yeah,
and it's unlike other teams where I feel like with other teams that are in situations that there is something there. There's a glimmer of hope that, okay, maybe there's something you can look at here. McLaren, there's just nothing to look forward to with this team.
It's just
you can't look at upgrades. You can't look at maybe new personnel. There's just nothing. You look at this team and you just think
they already got rid of their technical director because James Key got dropped off the Jeddah. So like they've already tried the whole staff reshuffle to an extent as well. So it's just not a good time to be at McLaren right now. Look, if you're a McLaren fan, a bit of advice: watch IndyCar instead. Pato O'Ward.
Hey, Pato O'Ward, y'all. If any McLaren driver, F1 fans, McLaren IndyCar, y'all love Pato O'Ward. You will love him.
Oh yeah,
trust me. He's
great
a
guy.
very entertaining driver, and he can win.
Absolutely. Like that is our advice to you as IndyCar fans, to McLaren if you're watching. The IndyCar team will at least tease you before they let you down. So.
Oh, God, man. Why you gotta get the hopes up?
Look, I'm being an honest pundit, Jet. What could I say?
Fair enough.
Aston Martin and a tale of two races. As mentioned, Fernando Alonso, third. Again, the fourth time he's finished third this season. The best of the rest honours once again going to Fernando Alonso, who is absolutely living his best life at the moment. He has been objectively the best guy not in a Red Bull all season long. It's continued again. He's just driving really, really well. Took those mediums really long. Was excellent on the day. I think it's an automatic dub just for that, even though Lance Stroll actually didn't get any points in the end. I thought Stroll was actually quite disappointing to end up down in 12th. I know he started 17th, but I thought, given how strong the Aston Martin car is, I actually thought they'd make a bit more progress than that in the end. But very much entertaining races.
Yeah, you would think Lance Stroll would at least get points based on the speed of the Aston Martin car that they have. But I felt with Alonso, he just seems like happier. Like this is like more laid back team player Alonso. I think Alonso has like a history of being very selfish, more for himself, and especially during his McLaren days. But like even during earlier, I think later in the race, where he talked about he was watching the big screen, complimenting Lance on making a big move. Like it just seems like it's a happier, laid back, team player type of a Fernando Alonso that I don't think any of us have really seen.
Absolutely.
And him even during the weekend saying that this was the best car that he's ever driven. Now, I don't know if it's because he's driving for Aston Martin. Like, you put an asterisk to that. I'm like, you do realize you drove with Renault, right? You do remember those days?
To be fair, Jet, this is Alonso. He's never laid it on thick in his career. No, never.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. Like, Alonso has, in my view, him and Hamilton have been two of the most entertaining drivers in Formula One.
Absolutely.
Especially Alonso, because I think he's the only one that can challenge Red Bull. So a lot of people, including myself, look at him as the beaming hope, the glimmer of hope to try and break Red Bull's domination, even though it's never going to happen, as the guy that could potentially do something. So to see him come home with third again, it's not surprising, although I did have a feeling that I thought he would at least be a bit more of a challenge to Perez at the opening start of the race.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting Perez. Yeah, I wasn't expecting Perez to launch out the way he did. But besides Stroll's, not finishing in points, it's just another dub for another building block of momentum for Aston Martin.
Completely agreed. Also in the chat, D Longman 90. So, you mentioned IndyCar. IndyCar's been brilliant this year. It's delivering a far better product than F1 has this year. Agreed. 110% with you.
Yes.
Oh, man, completely agreed. Yeah, like Texas and Barber were outstanding races. If you're I know we're an F1 channel predominantly, but I do watch other forms of motorsport, and it's a bit naughty of me to suggest this, but yes, IndyCar has been excellent so far this season. Go out of your way to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, all the races, let's be honest, I think all of them, like Long Beach was fun. The season opener St. Petersburg was amazing.
Even IndyCar's worst has been better than F1 this year. And
oh,
so
by a mile.
It's a shame, but we can get into F1 butchering its own product for another half an hour if we easily wanted to. Let's get to Williams. Albon 14th was just kind of there. Logan Sargent, front wing damage opening lap, just bottom of the field. I know we kind of expected it for Logan Sargent a little bit, given the way his weekend had been going, but thumbs down all around, Yeah,
I don't know what else I could really add on to that. It's just, it was disappointing because, with Logan, him being a hometown guy, part of me was like kind of pulling for him to at least show some speed. I wasn't expecting him to score points, but to at least show something. But yeah, it was just overall just a train wreck of a race for Williams. Not like with Logan having his issues. Albon, I think, was in points for a little bit, but outside of that, there was really nothing much else to mention about with Williams.
Yeah, it's just I wish we could talk about it a bit more. I said, the last time we were here, we were talking up Logan's because I thought we had a very good opening round in Bahrain. He was following Albon, closely, and I thought, okay, there's something here with Logan, and since then it's just been poor, unfortunately, and it's a shame because this was a home race. He literally lives down the road in Fort Lauderdale, and he was getting it. He was on the front page of GQ this week as well. He was getting big magazine spreads, and there was a lot of hope for Logan. I don't think anybody told them who he drives for, which might be part of the problem here. But you got to try,
Yeah, I think that says about with GQ, they don't know anything about F1. If they're putting him on the cover, it's like, he's not gonna do anything, right? It's like he is from South Florida, but he ain't gonna do none.
Yeah, but it's the hope that gets you, Jet. It's the hope that gets you. Speaking of the hope that gets them, it's Alfa Romeo next on my list, who, look, to be fair, they were a little bit better than they've been the last few weeks. Bottas was running in the points for a little while, but eventually, on the long strategy, he sunk to 13th. Zhou was 16th. It's just not happening for Alfa Romeo, is it?
No, and with Bottas, you mentioned there, like there was a portion in that race where he had potential. There was something there of maybe getting points.
Made Q3.
But what was that?
Yeah, he made Q3. That was a plus.
Yeah. I feel so bad for Alfa Romeo because, like, to me, like, it's like with this team, it's like they have moments of improvement. It seemed like they had last year at the beginning of the season. They had moments of improvements. I feel like this year they started at least on the outside. At least the Alfa Romeo had potential to at least be something. Maybe improve or build on from last year. So while it was nice to see them have a bit of a better run than the last few weeks, it's
kind of sad that this is an improvement for Alfa Romeo more than anything else.
Right. It's like you expect them, especially how, like, in certain races, I always feel like that, okay, maybe Alfa Romeo could be the type of team where they can at least contend for points, maybe 10th place. At the very least, one car can contend for points. Now it seems as though that this team, they're always on the outside. Like, they're on the brink of barging in to score points, but they can just never get it right.
Yeah.
They can never break through.
But at least we can now say every team has made a Q3 so far this season after 5 rounds. It's a plus. It's something.
It's a plus, but it's like a 0.1 plus.
It's probably still an L overall for them. Overall.
You take like a quarter step forward.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Ferrari. Now, I wanted to give Ferrari a dub. I really did for this weekend. I thought, hey, maybe Leclerc can get on the podium again. There's some hope to take away from here. they just got worse as the race went on. I thought Carlos Sainz was driving well, and then he violates the pit lane speed limit and has a time penalty. He drops back and then Leclerc spent most of his race stuck in traffic. It was just Ferrari had no pace on the hard tire. They finished 42 seconds off the win. That's tragic.
Absolute disgrace, I think, for Ferrari. I mean, the entire weekend, especially for Leclerc, he spun in Q3. I think he also spun in
FP2
final FP2.
Yeah.
It's this team. I feel bad for Ferrari fans because I'm pretty sure they need to have they need to have their heart restarted after every race, because they go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's like, can they put together a race without any issues? And I was shocked by how just Leclerc could really do anything. Anytime the camera was on him, majority of the time, he was getting passed.
Yeah.
He wasn't the one doing the attacking. He was the one that trying to defend. Sainz, like you said, had something going, but again, just like these costly mistakes that, these self-inflicted wounds that you just cannot do in an F1 race, speeding on pit road.
Yeah. The comments are in full agreement with you, Jet. Megaphone saying Ferrari has decent one-lap speed, but their race speed sinks in while the race progresses. It's been that way for years. Oblivion's Edge saying, bro, please, Leclerc's weekend finished in Q3. Longman in there again saying it seems common across the Ferrari powertrain cars that the one-lap pace is better than their long runs. Tire wear still seems to be a problem. Agreed. 110%. And I love that Rishi rounded off by saying Leclerc is pain, which... It's just because we all know how good he is, but it's just either it's something self-inflicted or Ferrari finds a way to screw the pooch, and it happens almost every time, and it is painful.
There's something there; they just cannot put it together.
No, and
it's like they start strong, or it's like they have one spark, and then that's it.
Yeah, they look like they're still the number 4 team in a second, third, and fourth place fight for second, and that's probably not ideal in the long run. And they said they made progress after Baku, and one round later, and it's like, we sure? It's a shame.
All that progress was gone.
Indeed. AlphaTauri's the last team on the list. A funny old team to finish this off with. Thanks, Benji, for that one. An interesting pick there at the end, but Nick de Vries, they made
Helmet Marko is going to strangle him one day.
He actually had a good qualifying. He made Q2 for the first time. He out-qualified Tsunoda. And you thought, hang on a minute, we might actually have a better Nick de Vries weekend. And he drives straight into the back of Lando Norris 10 seconds in. Oh,
I'm telling you, Helmet is going to strangle him. One of these days, he's just going to do Homer Simpson on Bart. He is going to man, I mean... Yeah. I know Nick is a rookie, but come on.
It's not looking good. It's not looking good. I mean, he's been beaten in every race by Tsunoda so far. And then you can't even really claim the car being bad as an excuse, because then look at Tsunoda. He came from a Q1 elimination and finished in 11th place and was only about a second off a point. He almost denied America 10,000 tacos. It would have been a cruel way to end, but fun fact, Yuki Tsunoda has now finished every race this season either 11th or 10th. And if AlphaTauri, I should say, sorry, AlphaTauri might have a bad car, and I've seen team boss Franz Tost say that the engineer, he said he didn't trust, he's now fired. So if he wanted an idea about the state of the morale in that camp, that's probably about how bad it is at the moment. Yuki Tsunoda is driving out of his skin. He is really, really stepped up to lead this team this season. That's the vibe I'm getting. I think
the pressure was on him. When Pierre Gasly left, the pressure was on him to be okay, you're the lead guy. You have to be the one that, really can make this team look good. And he has checked off all the boxes. I think we've always known that Tsunoda's had speed, but it was always rough around the edges speed. You can never, again, complete a race or really be able to focus. Hey, it's not a one lap sprint. Let's put together a full race, keep our head in the game. And he has done an excellent job at putting together races in consistent speed, not pushing the issue when he doesn't need to. But yeah, I wanted Sonoda. I like Sonoda, so I partly wanted him to get ahead of Magnussen because I've always had a sweet spot for him. Even when during the times when he first came to AlphaTauri, there were a lot of people that are saying that because he was making so many mistakes, like, is he ready for F1? Would he be replaced? And I think he has silenced a lot of those critics that says like, hey, I've proven I can be a part of this team. I can be the leader of this team. I can be, in F1, and he has done a great job this year. Especially, I mean, there was a lot of talks about maybe Nick potentially, being the new guy, because he came in with a lot of hype expectations, and Sonoda has just completely blown the waters.
Absolutely. I genuinely think there's a chance Yuki Tsunoda might be driver of the year so far, pound for pound, given we expected Red Bull to be dominant. Maybe not this dominant, but out of everybody else, maybe Fernando Alonso besides him. I think Yuki Tsunoda's been fantastic all season long, consistent, ironed out a lot of the kinks in his game. In race trim has been outstanding. Really, really good job all around. He's led the team, which is what they were missing when Gasly was going to leave them. And again, chat's all in agreement. De Vries really doesn't deserve a seat. Even as a Dutchie, I'd rather see Latifi than De Vries. Give Ricciardo the seat of De Vries as megaphone. Oblivion's Edge, there were so many better F2 drivers that could have been better in there, like Theo Pourchaire. There's arguments you can make there, certainly. 100%.
I would not be surprised at all if we see a change mid-season.
Indeed. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time Red Bull's done something like that. So, it's
more like the sixth or something.
There's been a string, unfortunately, and I don't mean that in a good way either. But that'll just about do it for our winners and losers edition of the WTF1 Wrap, powered by our friends at MoneyGram. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time for Imola. In this race, obviously, stay tuned to the WTF1 channel for more standalone content as well from yours truly and a bunch of our colleagues as well. Jett, tell the good people where they can find you before you get out of here.
Well, you can find me at JettMDK, JettMDK on all social media platforms. I will have a video later tonight of recapping the Kansas race in NASCAR. Great finish, and apparently there's a fight going on.
There's a fight. Well, who's in the fight?
Chastain.
Oh, I'm shocked. It's Chastain again.
There's no surprise.
Oh dear! Am I allowed to mine a spoiler? Who won in the end?
It was Chastain and Gregson. I think Gregson punched him in the face.
Oh,
punch!
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. So fun times.
Yeah. A lot of stuff to talk about here tonight. But thank you everyone for having me on. Thank you, Dre. It's always a pleasure talking F1 and being part of the WF21 channel. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for a turnaround, hoping for something this season to happen in F1.
We're trying. We promise. We're trying to get some optimism in here, but Sergio Perez keeps sucking the life out of it. We are trying, but thank you very much for watching. Thanks for the kind words from the guys who watch along on the stream. Thanks Oblivion and I. Thanks Gloria. Thanks Megaphone. Thanks for chipping in as ever. Glad you guys enjoyed it. Much appreciated. We'll catch you guys soon on WTF1 channel. Again, you can follow all of our social media down below in our boxes. You can check us out there. But thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you guys soon. Have a good one. Take care.